Hey everyone, my name is Carlos. I'm the founder and CEO of Product School, and today I'm here with a special guest. His name is Giacomo Guilizzoni. He's the founder and CEO of Balsamiq. Hey Giacomo, how are you doing?
Great. I'm totally fired up from that video. Woohoo! Love that. Using go product managers.
Product management is becoming cool. What can I say?
It's always been cool.
I know,
Oh.
and you have a really long story, so I want to start with that. Like, tell me a little bit about how you got started when product management wasn't really that mainstream.
Oh, I'm not that old. Come on. Yes, it's true though that it's grown in the last decade or so. Hi, my name is Peldi, and I am Italian. I'm in Italy right now, but I used to live in San Francisco. I worked for Macromedia, which then became Adobe, for 6 years as a programmer. And then in 2008, I quit my job to start a little company called Balsamiq. And we do a low fidelity wireframing tool. And the inspiration for that was actually talking to a product manager that I used to work with who had wonderful ideas, but didn't have a way to express it other than sitting next to me or sitting next to the designer and trying to explain and do it together. So I thought if only product managers had a tool that would allow them to communicate on an even playing field with developers and the designers, I think that products would be better in the end. So I started Balsamiq. I moved back to Italy, and we are bootstrapped and have been growing organically ever since. We're now 12 years old, 33 employees. We're remote. We're spread around the world, and we are on about $7 million in revenues this year. Should be around that. So doing great, and we have one product that we keep making better and better and better.
And thank you for sharing the story and being so transparent about those numbers because, especially here in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of noise around and how big is your team and how much money did you raise? That's kind of how they think and in terms of how good your company is, which is absolutely not true.
Well, I mean, sure, they can play that game. We play a different game. we're we're much more focused on longevity than growth. In fact, I try to grow as little as possible. I'd like to grow 2 or 3% a year, not more than that. That way, we last longer.
I love that. And I have to say, I personally started using Balsamiq many years ago. I don't know how many, but at least 8 years, way before I started product school. And for me, when I started the company, this was exactly the first tool that I started teaching as part of the curriculum because I know it works. And I'm surprised because the product at least from the outside, the UI hasn't really changed that much, right? It's still very easy to use. You don't need to be a designer or you don't have to study a lot in order to kind of get the hang of it.
I thank you for that compliment. The fact that the UI hasn't changed very much in 12 years is a great compliment. It means that we've been able to add only the important features and add them in a way that doesn't make the product feel more complicated, which is very hard. We are very much focused on being the first tool that product managers or anyone getting into UX learns. So we want to stay very easy to learn and to pick up. And then if it becomes your passion and you want to become a UX professional full time, then you can graduate to some more complicated tools and more expensive tools. But I really aim for us to be the perfect first tool for people.
So I want to explore that a little bit further because it's so easy to fall in the trap of building more features. So for you, you mentioned you've been around for 12 years. So how do you deal with saying no to so many ideas to stay focused on something that you know that works?
It's not easy. It's definitely a big part of my job as the acting product manager for the product. It's definitely not easy. I have slipped over the years a few times, and so we've tried to hide some of the more powerful features that we built, 7 years ago, and we now realize that those are too pro, and so we're trying to hide them a little bit. We've removed some features over time, so it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a very clear vision, and it takes also a lack of ambition, really, because sure, we could add a bunch of features and become a full-blown prototyping tool and compete with the big guys, and have a lot more revenue, but that sounds very stressful. I think that the market has proven that there is a need for a tool like ours that only tries to address the ideation stage, only tries to really help people put their ideas to paper quickly and easily, and doesn't try to do too much. And so once you really understand your niche, and it took us years to really understand it, then it's kind of easy to see, okay, this fits with the vision, this doesn't fit with the vision. It makes it easier for me to say no, and also for customers to understand that they shouldn't even ask for certain things because they're clearly out of scope.
So you mentioned that you guys are 33 people, and obviously you are still very involved in the product. So what is your day-to-day? How does your day-to-day look like?
Well, good question. Right now, my day-to-day, we're at a stage of in the company life where I am trying to make it less about me so that it can last longer. So my goal is to build a company that will outlive me, right? So I cannot do too much. And so for the last couple of years, I've been trying to do less and less and less and less to really understand, to really make sure that everything can scale better. And so what I do is, I still have three or four jobs that I still need to delegate. One is the product management for the main product, and one, I'm still the marketing lead, and I'm still the CEO, clearly. And then I also I'm one of the main copywriters, so I write newsletters and stuff like that. So these are the last four jobs that I sort of have to try to delegate more. And then when I do that, then I can feel proud that the company will work even if I'm not there, and will probably work better than it ever did. That's the goal. And then once I reach that stage, then I can work on whatever I want. I can help every team work better, or then we'll see. But it's a 5-year plan. It's going to take a while.
And I really admire your community to understand that you want your company to live beyond you, and that you want to delegate and let others take the lead. I think it's really fascinating. So I applaud you for that, Heli. Another thing that you mentioned is that you guys work remotely, and I guess you've been doing that way before COVID, way before this was mandatory almost. So what's your philosophy around hiring?
So yes, so like I said, I'm in Italy, and so at first I wanted to build a one-person company. I just wanted to be me, a little lifestyle business that had to feed just me and my family, and that was the dream. But a couple of things happened. One is that the product really took off, and so I couldn't handle it all by myself. And the other thing is that at least at the beginning, more than half of my customers were in the US, especially in the West Coast. And so if I wanted to live in Italy, that's 9 hours time difference. So what that meant is that after dinner, I would have to do customer service for 5 hours before I could go to sleep. And so after a while, I was like, you know what? I think I need someone there to help me with support. And so first I hired a programmer here in Italy, and then a month later I hired Valerie, who does support, and she's in California. But ever since then, the goal has been to grow as little as possible. For many years, whenever I hired someone, I would say, okay, this is it. We're done. We're not hiring anymore. But over time, I learned that that's just silly, and it means that people will get overworked over time. So now we hire maybe 1 or 2 people a year. We haven't hired anyone in the last year, which is a nice feeling. I think maybe we're reaching our optimal size as a company. And so maybe we hire a few more people, but I don't think we're going to hire that many anymore.
So for you personally, even though you're trying not to hire, I mean, obviously the product keeps growing and the company as well. I'm sure that it is not the same when you were a one-person company versus now when you are over 30. So talk to me about your own personal growth experience. What are some of those key skills that you think that help you grow as well and be a manager, even if you don't want to?
Yes, those are hard lessons to learn, and it took me a long time, and it's still ongoing. Definitely, I feel like the main skill that kept me alive and afloat and successful is the fact that I am flexible. I don't really care really what I do too much. Mostly I'm happy when I do what's needed for the company. Well, I want to feel useful in whichever way I can. And so um, at some point I had to learn how to manage people. That was not in my dream. That was not part of my dream, and but it was a necessity. And then now I'm learning how to delegate everything and not feel guilty about it. There's a ton of you really have to grow with the company, and not just as the CEO. When you join a small company and it grows, every employee really needs to be adaptable and flexible, because at the beginning everybody does everything, and that's exciting. But then when you're 30, you need more specialists, fewer generalists. So the people that have been with me for 12 years, they have to adapt as well. So I'd say adaptability is definitely a key skill. And another one is a thirst for learning, a unquenchable thirst for learning, because I really do get my kicks from being faced with something that I have no idea how to do. A few years ago, I did the GDPR everything. And for me, it was super fun. I got to study a bunch. I got to learn about a bunch of legalese, and we changed our processes and everything. So the fact that I like to learn anything that needs to be learned, that's I think I'm lucky to have that characteristic, that personality trait. Because as a CEO, you're going to need to do that over and over and over.
I'm a big fan and believer in lifelong learning, obviously. So I always try to learn from other founders, PMs, or anyone around me, just to know what's in their life, to know how they do it. So I'm glad to know that you have such a different philosophy, at least based on what I know here in Silicon Valley. But at the same time, it works. At least it works for you, and it seems that it makes you and your team happy. So at the end of the day, I think that's also one of the most important things. And you also mentioned that there are people that have been working with you for 12 years, so since the beginning of the company. You know that employee churn is a big issue, and I think the average is less than 2 years. So how do you manage to keep people with you for such a long period of time?
Well, really, you live in Silicon Valley, and that's a whole other world. The rules are different there. It's not just us. We're not that different. There are many, many software companies like mine that you've never heard of. I'm good friends with the founders of this company, and they are, I think, 25 people, 15 years old, profitable, etc. And what they do is they make software for people who build kitchen countertops. Right? Unless you're in that business, you've never heard of them, but they are a super successful business, 15 years old, 25 people, fantastic. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, of little software companies like mine. But we don't care about press releases or TechCrunch. Is that even online anymore? I don't even know. We don't care about any of that stuff. We're just happy making our customers happy.
That's beautiful. By the way, I need to ask you this, or I'll die. We have a lot of people on the chat literally asking about your pillows. And so please, what's going on there?
I don't know. They're just my friends. I have my pillows, and then I have my dog that always comes and sometimes sits there. And so just to feel a little less alone, because being remote, it's great for the first couple of years, and then it's tough. It gets lonely, and
I know. So tell me about it. So right now, with everyone working remotely, I know you've been doing this for a while, but still, what are some of those good practices that worked for you in order to keep the morale high and everyone connected?
so that's the toughest part of running a remote company. I feel the work you can manage. There's so many online tools that allow you to do the job collaboratively, and there's no problem there. The toughest part is to really build a culture and keep people engaged and friendly. So we really continuously work on that. We try things all the time, and they will last for a while, and then they stop working, and so we try something new. For a while, we did something called a personal pechakucha. I'm sure your audience knows what a pechakucha presentation is. It's a short presentation, and so once a month, one of the employees would share a quick presentation about their lives or something they liked or and those were fantastic. And then that sort of we lost interest. So then now we did something called Friday Fun Times, where we would randomly put four people in a Zoom call on Friday, and they would just talk about weekend plans. Just basically, you want to create a lot of opportunities for people to just be together but not talk about work. We also do company retreats. We do in-person retreats. We didn't this year, but we did 9 before that, where for 1 week we all get together, we rent a big place, and basically we just have fun together. We do cooking classes, we do yoga, we do all sorts of activities together. And the idea there is to really recharge our emotional batteries and our friendship batteries, so that then for when everybody goes back home and somebody makes a joke in Slack, you know that that's a joke. You don't get offended because you know who did it, and so it's something where there's lots of different things that you can try, and I feel like you should try them all a little bit at a time. We use a tool called Know Your Team, where every Friday people get a question like, what's a favorite recipe, and they share it. So there's more and more of an industry around solving this problem, which is great. But I guess my advice would be to not get stuck, try different things. As soon as they stop working, change it and try another thing. But basically, always do something for this.
And I think that is a good point, because you may not get it right the first time, and that's okay.
No, but also you can't get it right, and then after a while, everybody's done it, and now it's not fun anymore. Unless you're hiring new people all the time, then do something else. It's like hobbies, people go change hobbies over time.
Mm-hmm. So now that obviously you guys have been around for 12 years, and you mentioned the product managers, it's a big user persona for your product. But I'm curious about how you think about the future of the vision for your company.
So this is an interesting one, because for many years we were thinking we have to do a second product. We have to do a second product because this is getting matured. Wireframes is a good product, and people will get bored and leave, right? And so we were thinking, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Then I had lunch in Chicago with Jason Fried, and I asked him, how do you not get bored of always doing base camp all the time, or how do you sustain it? And he said, there's nothing wrong with picking one problem and solving it over and over again. What you do is you do a whole new version every 5 years that where you put all that you've learned, and you remove the features that were bad, and you build it with a new platform. You make it faster, make it better. Somebody has to solve this problem. If you really love the problem, then dedicate your life to it. And I totally agree. So that removed the guilt from me. I feel like we're just going to be doing more of the same. As long as our customers keep asking us to do things that fit with our vision, and as long as we enjoy working with them and serving them, we'll stick around. The other thing that we do is that really we're mission driven, right? Our mission is to help rid the world of bad software. Okay, that's been from day one. That's what we want to do, because poorly usable software is an incredible, frustrating experience, and it hurts the human potential, and the world would be twice as rich if every software was well done, right? So we feel like it's an important mission, even though it's a fairly small mission. And so how do we rid the world of bad software? Sure, we make a tool that helps people build better UIs, but now in the last couple of years, we are investing a lot in education, because a tool is just a pencil. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to draw like Leonardo da Vinci, even if you get a pencil, right? So now we have a whole team, and it's growing, about the principles of wireframing, and how to design UIs that are easy to use and lovable and solid and scalable and all that. So we might not focus as much on software in the future, but we'll focus on whatever we can do in order to fulfill our mission. So there's lots to do.
No, definitely, you're not going to run out of not only ideas but like things to do. And I feel the same as a product person. I'm constantly thinking about what's next, and it's really hard to say no to certain ideas. I started actually from the education angle, so that's why I think Balsamiq is really complementary to what we do, because when I started teaching product management, which sounded like a huge endeavor, nobody was really doing it. And actually, a lot of people were saying it's impossible. It's all about having good ideas. You need to be a visionary or blah, blah, blah. That's not true, obviously. But I was teaching without pencils, without tools. Like I was just trying to kind of show some of those best practices. And it was really important for me to leverage Balsamiq and other tools to bring the point home and demystify some of these things about you cannot teach it. You need to be an MBA and an engineer and a PhD all together. No, you can really get started. First of all, you need to understand, obviously, what wireframing is and other parts of the product development cycle. But then you can pick up something like Balsamiq and feel like Leonardo da Vinci for 30 minutes, at least, to make it good enough so a user can, or an engineer, or anyone can understand what's in your mind. You don't need to go to a Photoshop or like other tools that are, I would say, maybe more advanced for designers.
Right.
So I think that combination of education with the actual tools makes the PMs very dangerous.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about it, there weren't really that many tools built for the PMs as a new persona. I would say Balsamiq would be one of the pioneers. I was using PowerPoints to create roadmaps.
Word people, Excel. It was wireframes in Excel by coloring the cells.
Right. So, and by the way, you mentioned Jason from Basecamp. He actually released another product called Hey.
I know. I'm a customer actually. Yeah. So I love them because they're like, we changed our mind. We did get bored. We're gonna go after a much bigger space. Those guys have endless ambition, though, so it works for them. But I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon.
Well, Ted, it's been a pleasure to chat with you and learn from your philosophy. Is there anything else you would like to share with all of us?
Well, I see in the chat there's a question, what tools do we use? Well, I'd like to plug Balsamiq.cloud, which is our web app, and that's an example of something that we completely rebuilt. We built a web app many years ago called My Balsamiq. We learned a lot from it, and now we completely rebuilt it, putting everything that we learned in it. And so it's so much better, and it's really a fantastic tool for online co-editing and online commenting, and it's got versioning, everything that you expect from a mature collaboration SaaS app we have, and it's pretty affordable. So if you want to check it out, balsamiq.cloud.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.